Welcome to Pi Delta Kappa, Walden University Cyberspace Chapter's Professional Development Webinar Series. I'm Shawna Ebbeson, President of PDK WUCC. The first thing we're going to do before we get started is we're going to do a sound check. We're going to make sure that we've done everything we can to reduce any audio feedback that you might experience during the webinar today. Most computers have three sources that capture and relay sound. And our goal is to minimize the different various ways that the sound is coming through that's providing or that's creating that echo. So up at the top of your screen, you should see a More button. You want to click on that. Click on Audio Settings. And that will bring up another box that you click Switch here or click here to switch your mic. And in that drop-down box, you're going to actually choose the mic that you want the computer to use. If you're using a headset, you can choose your headset mic. If you're using the built-in computer mic, you'll have that. We are actually using the Behringer mixer mic for podcasts, so we have that chosen in our drop-down box. You hit done. If you are using speakers that actually plug in external speakers for your computer, you're going to experience that audio feedback. And there's going to be an echo when or if you come into the presentation vocally and speak with us that way. So if you're using onboard speakers or external speakers, make sure that you have the volume set pretty low. For best results, use a pair of headphones. There are several ways that you can be a part of this conversation. This is actually a pre-recorded webinar while we had an opportunity to speak with our aspiring educator. You can register for the webinar on our website, pdkwucc.org. You can click on the link if you received one in your email box, and that will also open up the webinar series. You can log in via your computer or your smartphone to this live airing of the webinar. You can also call in a toll-free number once you've logged into the webinars and attend via phone conference. You can return to the website after this recording airs and view it in our archives. You can post to the post-webinar discussions that will be available through our website and continued on social media like Facebook and Twitter, as well as the live video streams that this was aired on. I am Shawna Ebbeson, President of PDK WUCC. I am very passionate about education, and I have over 30 years experience with childcare. And that includes taking care of children from personal families. I've run an in-home daycare for about 8 years. And I also have licensed center experience as well. I have achieved my master's degree in early childhood studies from Walden University. And I continued on to receive teaching adults in early education. And in the process now of getting a graduate certificate in digital marketing. My goal after pursuing the professional development is to move on to my doctoral programs. I've been a homeschooling educator for several years and built curriculum that was child-centered and child-focused to help bolster those learning experiences for each individual student. Today, we're going to be talking about teaching the Net Gen. The Net Gen are the body of students that will complete most of their academic career after the internet and online has become so readily available and so big. We are talking with one aspiring educator and learning about her ambitions and preparations for teaching the Net generation. Jordan McGuire, welcome. She is a junior in high school at Grandview Christian School. She is right now living in central Iowa, and she's received several awards during her academic career, including the Good Citizenship Award. Jordan aspires to become a middle school general education teacher, and her ultimate goal is to teach at a Christian school. Welcome, Jordan.
Welcome. Let's explore what we will be talking about today. Influence of educators will be first, and then we'll have an activity about personality types. Then we will recap of what we've learned so far, and then we will learn about preparing for college, and we will learn about the different learning and teaching styles there are, and then we will recap. And then our third part today will be aspirations and expectations, and then there will be questions and answers.
Very good, thank you. The first part that we're going to be talking about today are the influence of educators. Educators are influential whether they realize it or not. So the first thing we're going to talk about are who are some influential educators that have helped you decide to become an educator yourself. Who are the people that inspired you?
My resource room teacher has really been the one who has inspired me the most to be a teacher because of the influence she has. If you don't learn the same way as the other kids, she will work with combinations of different learning styles until she finds one that'll work for you. And if you're having trouble learning things during the school year and need help during the summer, she'll have you into her own home and work with you during the summer months.
Do you think that educators that have had a negative impact on you, do you think that they have also helped influence your decision to become a teacher?
In ways, yes, they have. They have inspired me to become a teacher because they show that the ways that things can be done, there's two ways things can be taught. There's a right way and a wrong way, and I've seen a little bit of both.
Yeah, negative experiences help define who we are. And I'm glad that you brought out the right way and the wrong way, because there's effective, we can reframe that as effective and ineffective. And in a sense, those ineffective teachers help you realize what you don't want to be. So many times we don't always understand what it is we want, but we definitely know what it is we don't want. So those negative experiences and those ineffective teachers can actually have actually patterned you down a path of what you possibly might want to change as a teacher. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate, I think.
Personality does matter. Primary students cite personality as the defining quality of both effective and ineffective teachers. Arrogant teachers are really difficult to listen to. However, you were talking about your resource room teacher, and can you find something in that list that kind of defines or maybe better identifies with your resource teacher that was an effective teacher?
I'd say probably passionate really stands out. So does friendly, because she's very friendly. She's motivational. Even if you don't feel like working, she'll find ways of motivating you to the point where you feel like actually doing something, even though when you started, you didn't feel like doing anything.
So motivation is a really strong factor in becoming an effective teacher. There's a lot of things that influence the personality of an instructor, and a personality is what they are all about. Their attitude is, or could be considered, arguably by some, is what the externals are all about that's affecting them. So we're going to talk about some of those influential factors. Stress is a major factor. A good teacher can really struggle with this. It's a very high stress job. You've got behavior issues that are possibly creating a stressful environment in the classroom. And there's three things that I wanted to touch on that are personality changers. And that's the efficacy, which is basically one's belief in what their ability is. Are they capable of doing what needs to be done? And that has a big impact on positive educator personality. The second one is attitude. Negative attitudes, or positive and negative sides, exist in every attitude. So even though we might see someone as having a positive attitude, stressors can impact that in negative ways. It's kind of like the same thing as saying there's two sides to every coin. Emotional intelligence is very important, especially as a trait or characteristic in effective teachers. And that is the ability to regulate and manage one's own emotion. Coping skills go a long way to help that in a time of a stress crisis. So those are some things that will actually impact the personality. And personality is so important. So let's recap here a little bit. There's both positive and negative educators are influential to choices career-wise that their students might make after high school. Personality is a strong predictor of an educator's effectiveness. And then stress, positive or negatively affects an educator's personality. So we're going to do a little activity here. What is your personality type? So I'm going to have Jordan just click right on that and open up. Make sure. We're going to click on, it went away. Just a second here. A little technical difficulty here. All right, that's what we wanted to do. All right, so Jordan, I'm going to have you really quick. We're going to talk about the personality types and what makes a teacher or what makes the personality. We're going to talk about the different types here. So I'm going to have you really quick. This won't take you very long. There's some questions here, and all you have to do is answer yes or no to the best of your ability of how they work or how they apply to you. And those of you who are watching, you can go to this website here and take the test yourself and see how your personality measures. While we're taking some time going through this, there's another good resource for aspiring educators. It's called the Future Educators of America. They are a part of the PDK family of associations, and on their website they also have a link to an assessment that you can take on, are you a good teacher? Do you have the qualifications or the characteristics and personalities of what research has identified as strong characteristics to predict effective educators? And there are several different personality tests that you can access online. I chose this one because it was basically a true or false. There's only two responses that you can do just for the construct of time that we have. There are several more even in-depth quizzes and assessments that you can take. We're almost through it here. And for those of you that are watching the recorded video, answer these the best that you can, how they apply for you. Some you might not think, it's not really a yes or no answer, but just choose the best that you can to have the most accurate result. There's one thing that I think that should be said right now is that these assessments are completely for entertainment purposes. They're just to help us identify how some of these questions might help us to see a specific personality trait. These are by no means a way of assessing whether you will or will not be an effective teacher. I think it's very important to say that right now. All right, now it's time to see. There is your personality type number. It is, you are an extrovert, which I would totally agree with. You are intuitive, strong in feeling, and in judging. So do you think that this pretty much accurately represents you?
Yeah, I think so. It's pretty accurate.
And did you have any difficulty or any kind of not sure which way to answer on the test that you took, or was it pretty straightforward?
It was pretty straightforward, but there was a couple questions I had to take some time and debate over.
Well, we're going to go back to our PDF here. So you guys can take that assessment on your own. I just thought it would be just kind of a fun activity to see how those questions would transpose into the type of personality. So it's easy to see that, excuse me, that you can have several different personality traits when you come in. So when you think about your feelings, for Jordan's assessment, you had said 38% feelings, that you have a moderate preference of feeling over thinking. So with that being said, is it a little bit more understandable of how a personality can be affected by stress?
I think so. For people who are listed as ENFJs like me, sometimes their feelings are more dominant than thinking, which means that they more trust like their gut feeling that something's wrong than thinking about it.
Well, very good. We're going to move on and talk about preparing for college. One of the things about Next Gen is that college has become almost essential. It's not really a matter of choice at this point, because there's more than 60% of the workforce will require at least some amount of college, even if it's just a professional certificate like a CDA for child development. So one of the questions that we asked Jordan before we had this interview that we prepared her for was why it's so important, or why college is so important. So you want to kind of tell us about your response on that?
I think college is really important because it helps not only teach you the skills that you need for a job, but it will also train you for a certain work field as well. From visiting colleges, I've noticed that the colleges really work hard with you to prepare you for the job you really want to go into.
Preparing you with those 21st century skills. Now, when we're talking about the Net Gen, that is, like I said, the students that will spend the majority of their academic career in the digital era. We are very much in the digital era, and one of the main things that that employers want The third most sought after skills are those of 21st century skills. So now how is your high school preparing you to meet that work challenge? What kind of 21st century skills are you being prepared with in your high school right now?
My school is a college prep school, so it allows us college credits while still in high school, and they offer computer classes to learn things that will be used in like businesses. The SATs and PSATs are important because not only can they help you land scholarships for college, but they also judge where you're at for entering college. The teachers can offer advice after class if you don't understand something or need to talk about something. And you can also get help on completing assignments as well.
Awesome. Now, when you were setting up your high school track on what courses you were going to take, because there's a lot of electives in high school. Now, did you work closely with someone to help you choose what classes would best prepare you for the field you want to go into? Is that something that you thought about during the earlier periods of your high school?
I hadn't really in ninth grade decided exactly what I was doing yet. I've been kind of researching the different types of careers you can have, and I actually had the decision between being a nurse and a school teacher, and I think being a teacher suited me because of how well I work with kids. I helped homeschool my little sister for a while, and I learned a lot about being a teacher when I helped homeschool her.
And those are some really wonderful real life experiences. And I agree, you are natural with the child care. And one of the things that we're going to do is this next activity is going to be a lot more fun. We're going to talk about learning and teaching styles and why those matter. You brought up learning styles as something that your resource room teacher identified with you. So there's a test that we're going to take. We're not going to do the test today, but I do want to pull it up and look. These are some of the learning styles. So we'll go and see that really quick. I just want you to see the test. We're not, like I said, actually going to take the test today. This is a multiple intelligence test, and I actually, for my master's degree in early education, this was one of the fun activities that we did during class for one of my courses there, and I greatly benefited from it. Jordan has just suggested that she go ahead and take you through this test. It's a very quick test, but yeah, you go ahead and I will give you the computer and you take the test and see the multiple intelligence is very important. It goes hand in glove with the personality tests. Personality and learning and teaching styles, I believe, work in a trilogy to help establish those characteristics of effective and ineffective educators. So we're going to let Jordan take this test for a few minutes, and they will look at the results. We mentioned with the Nality Test, this is by no means an indicator of whether you are or are not a good candidate to be researching and looking for and interested in a career as an educator. All right, here is self-assessment result for Jordan. And you can see that this actually will give you how you rank in each of those each of those learning styles. So as you can see with Jordan's, everybody has some sort of competency in each learning style. Jordan, let's look at your 94% rate is in musical. That does not surprise me. Why don't you click on musical and see what it says about that particular learning style. Musical intelligence is associated with enjoying music, singing, and playing an instrument, but it also involves a sensitivity to sound, as well as the emotions that music conveys. So listening to music while you study would be a very positive, it would probably impact your studies very positively. Creating a rhyme or a chant would probably help you better memorize your materials and associate with what you're learning with a song that you like. So let's go down a little, let's go back. You want to hit the back arrow button and let's see what your other high score was. Oh, it's going to do it over. Okay, go ahead and hit the forward button and we'll just check and see what those others. So we'll go back up to the top here and let's just take a look at all of them. The body and kinesthetics. This is all about movement, and it includes the ability to use movement for either your self-expression or precision to achieve a goal. Sample activities that it provides here are to perform a skit to show the action of the idea that you want to try and learn, to make a game out of materials, to stay active when you are in a situation in which you need to concentrate. You can squeeze that stress ball, or what are some other things that you do to maintain a level of activity when you're really needing to concentrate on studying for that test?
I really do the last one, which is walking around while reading a book. I am the family bookworm. Once I get into a book, I could probably read through a hurricane or a tornado and not even hear the sirens go off.
Oh, I would definitely agree with that one. Interpersonal, this is something where intelligence here is very important because this is all about social interaction and understanding the other people that are around you. This is where a lot of people in the interpersonal realm struggle with. They struggle with collaboration in the classroom. They struggle with sharing with the parents. This is all about giving and receiving feedback. It's working on group projects, and this would include teacher-student interactions. Intrapersonal communication, it's the road to the achievement, the learning, and the personal satisfaction is why you're doing what you're doing. I'm not really an introvert, but I have to be by myself when I'm studying. It has to be a quiet environment. That's how I best synthesize any of the materials that I'm reading. And Jordan, you were saying that to keep active when you're studying, you're walking around with a book. What type of activity samples that it provides here best fits you, or that you can identify with something that you've done throughout your academic career?
When I'm walking and reading, I seem to absorb more of what the book is about than if I'm standing completely still. Because when I'm standing completely still, it's harder to keep my attention on the book than on other things.
You guys can go through and look at these different learning styles. We're going to go ahead and go back to our PowerPoint. It'll take me just a few minutes. And you guys can look at that on your own and see what identifies, or what you identify with, and what they have identified as one of your strongest and your weakest as well, which are also important to identify. Personality traits. So now we're going to talk a little bit about your personal aspirations and expectations. And this is where you and I are just going to talk. Let's talk about the classroom management. You have expressed to me in preparing for this that classroom management is really important. So I would like you to describe your ideas of what would best benefit the students in your ideal classroom.
Some of the classes that I have been in weren't exactly the best managed classrooms, but the way I would manage my classrooms is I would make the schoolwork a little more active, to where we were moving around instead of being stuck in a desk all day, because no one really likes being cooped up in a desk for 8 or 9 hours a day.
Bodily.
And getting moving. If you put actions to what you're learning, it can also be a way for the children to learn some important things that would otherwise go in one ear and right out the other.
Very good. So you're talking about engaging that bodily intelligence, and engaging that learning style will actually promote the whole entire classroom. Now, in what ways do you think, or would you expect, that an effectively managed classroom would benefit the school?
I think that an effective classroom being managed the way that I would do it would be with the kids moving around would keep their fidgetiness around under control. And if one classroom is moderately quiet, then the surrounding classrooms can get a lot more done, as well as you getting more done with the classroom being quiet, because you don't have to try and talk over the classroom next door or try and talk over the kids in your own classroom.
Very good. So that leans to having a cohesive, very well-supported classroom environment that is geared for learning. So let's talk about the change of landscape of education. You know, we talked a little bit about teaching tools. We've talked a little, very briefly, about those 21st century skills that today's students need to have brought into the classroom more. So when you think about your classroom today, you're going to go back to school on Monday. When you think about that, and you think about where you are in your studies, what would you like to see brought into the classroom more today that you could possibly bring into your classroom when you become the educator that you aspire to be?
I would definitely like to see the more use of technology and the internet, because I have this special computer program that I use for when I'm reading, and it's called Kurzweil. And what it does is it reads for you. It reads to you. So it doesn't read for you. You still have to listen. But it helps me because I understand more of a book if I hear it than if I actually read it myself without hearing it. So if a book isn't available on Kurzweil, I'll read it out loud so I can hear it and read it, because I do that on Kurzweil as well. And I think it would help kids to have programs like Kurzweil available for them if they're having trouble with that kind of thing, or using like computers to take notes faster, because some kids write slower than others. And children can really benefit from the use of technology in school, I believe.
I concur with you 100%. And I think that we're going to be seeing this increasing more and more and more as time goes on. We are definitely into a digital age. I believe that the social media is going to play a big part in education in the very, very brief or very short foreseeable future. So what kind of expectations do you have when you think about college? You and I have talked independently about your goals for college. What do you envision? You know, we just talked about your classroom of today when you go back on Monday. So when you think about college, how does that transition into a college classroom? What do you think a college classroom is going to be like?
Well, from what I've seen in colleges so far, from the 2 DMAC colleges that I have visited, I've also visited Des Moines University, because that's one of the places I was originally looking at. And what I see in a college classroom, like what it would be like, is the professors try and interact with the kids. They try to get the children to engage in their work. So maybe they'll grasp on to what they're learning better. At Des Moines University, what I noticed right away is unlike some of the colleges you see on TV, where the teacher stays in one spot in the room the entire class, the teacher actually was walking around and checking on his students. That is one of the benefits of a smaller college, is that the class sizes are smaller, so there'll be more interaction between the professor and the students.
I think that's a very accurate observation. And I do think that the same holds true for university students as it does for secondary and post-secondary students, that, you know, that trilogy we were talking about, personality still matters at the collegiate level as it did in high school. The learning styles and the teaching styles are still, I think those three are still going to work hand in glove to ensure student success. I think that is wonderful. So how much training, college training, do you think that you'll need to reach your individual, your specific goals?
For being an effective teacher, I think that you need college training for at least 2 years, where you're still a student and you're training with the college, which means that you are student teaching with a teacher, because that way you can get used to being in a classroom and learn how to manage a classroom the right way, as well as learning to discipline the children in the right way.
Very cool. Now, when you think about the expectations that you have, your personal goals, do you plan on becoming a licensed teacher? And if so, what grades or subjects are you interested in teaching?
I do plan on becoming a licensed teacher. Next year is my senior year of high school, so I have to hurry up and make sure that I am accepted into a college by the time I graduate. And I plan on teaching middle school. I'm not for sure what subjects I'll teach yet. Once I'm in college, I'm going to research what subjects would best benefit me as a teacher, as well as me teaching the kids on how effective I would be teaching that subject.
Very cool. So it sounds like one of your expectations of college is to help you maybe fine tune and define what subjects that you'd like to teach.
Yes. I know that one of the subjects I probably will not be teaching is probably math, because I am not exactly good at math, so I probably would not benefit the kids by teaching math. But one that I may be good in is science or history.
Well, this goes a lot back to what we were talking about very early on in our session today about how we might not always know what it is we want, but we certainly know what it is we don't want, just like how those negative experiences influenced you as wanting to become an educator. We might not always know what it is we want. You don't know what subject you want to teach, but you sure do know what you don't want. I don't want to teach this, and I don't want to teach it this way. So those experiences and ideas are very, very good. Jordan, I really want to thank you for taking the time out and talking with us today and sharing your thoughts and ideas, and clearly your passion about how you want to contribute to the field of education. Do you have any words of encouragement for someone who might be kind of thinking about becoming a teacher but is not really sure if it's for them? Do you have any words of encouragement for someone who says, I don't need college? What can you say to those students?
For those out there who are thinking about becoming a teacher, I'd say definitely go for it. It's going to be a job that'll be increasing over the next, I don't know how many years, and will really help the children that are in school now and will be in school by the time you complete college. And if you're saying, I don't need college, well, as we said earlier, college is going to be required by right now about 60% of jobs, and I foresee that number increasing to between 70 and 80% in the next 5 or 10 years.
Very good insights, and I definitely agree with you. It's really come to a point where college is almost the only option, and not saying that advanced degrees such as a master's or a doctorate are required in every field that you go into, but definitely college is something that needs to be taken on more seriously. Thank you so much, Jordan, for taking the time with us. For those of you who would like to have a copy of this, you may email us at info at pdkwucc. I would also like to invite you to take some time and look into the PDK. We are actually an honor society for education. Our PDK family, it includes future educators of America, which I talked briefly about before. And here's the link that I talked to you about Are You a Good Teacher? It's a short quiz that they have, and advice from the National Board of Certified Teachers. So that is actually found on the Future Educators of America. We are also Pi Lambda Theta, and I myself am a president of the chapter for Pi Delta Kappa International. So I thank you very much for your time with us. If you'd like to have any of the references that are used as we were putting this together, you can click on that little QR code with your smartphone, and that will actually give you the links to all of the ones that you see here. If you don't have your smartphone with you, then they are right here. All of these are linkable. So you can actually go to the resources that we've used to support some of our ideas and what we were talking about today. So here's a continuation of that. And this episode of the series is teaching the Net Generation. And it was an interview with aspiring educator Jordan McGuire. And again, I want to thank you for viewing, and please leave us a comment and continue this conversation. I think this conversation is very important to the future of education. Jordan, kids in your position right now, you're a junior in high school, you guys are the future of education. So this conversation needs to be continued. You can leave us a comment on Facebook. You can leave us a comment on Twitter. You can comment underneath this video here that you're watching. I thank you so much, and keep looking forward.